Flight controllers, listen up. Give me a go, no go for launch.
T-minus
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Ignition sequence start. 1. Ignition.
Wow. What a week. Hey guys, I'm Max and this is Watch Crunch. Want to catch the latest happenings in the watch world? Well, look no further than watchcrunch.com, where all the MoonSwatch memes live. So we've all been swept up by MoonSwatch fever this past week. I honestly think that Will Smith just missed out on a MoonSwatch.
Wow, dude.
Now, whether you love it or hate it, there's a little bit of something for everyone in this video. What I intend to do is offer a perspective on this watch from a diehard Speedmaster fan, but also talk about the collab from other perspectives. Now, to be clear, this isn't my watch. A fellow watch cruncher, Linus, was gracious enough to send his over for the review. Okay, let's just get one thing clear. If you are a Speedmaster owner and you're worried that they're now selling your watch for $260, you can relax. This is not a Moon watch. It wasn't NASA qualified. It didn't bring Tom Hanks back to Earth. From the unboxing, it's clear that this is a Swatch and not an Omega. The flimsy paper box unfolds to reveal a plasticky, bioceramic-y watch, and it's light. It's really light. At just 29 grams, it's a fifth of the weight of a Speedmaster. Now, the obvious visual difference on first sight is that the subdials are evenly spaced at the 2, 6, and 8 rather than the Speedmaster's 3, 6, and 9. But the funny thing is, once you put this watch on your wrist, it feels like a Speedmaster, and that's because of a one-to-one reproduction of the Speedy Pro's size and shape, right down to the asymmetrical crown guards and the twisted lyre lugs. It's funny because your wrist accepts this as a Speedy as much as your analytical mind screams, no, it's just a toy. Your body doesn't seem to care. This watch gives me that new Speedmaster feeling, and not just any Speedmaster. Many of these models take cues from the most coveted special editions. So I'll probably never afford an Apollo 11, but I can get a Mercury MoonSwatch. And I'd have to sell a kidney for an Alaska project, but I can just get a Mars MoonSwatch instead. But the luster wears off pretty quick once you spend some time with the Swatch. You notice all the places where costs were cut. For example, Linus had this watch for just a couple of days and the crystal was already full of scratches and abrasions. Let's clean it up with some Polywatch. Now, this is definitely not Omega Hezolite. It's probably just a cheap, thin plastic crystal. Another letdown is the ticking chrono hand. They could have used Megaquartz and gotten a cleaner sweep, but I guess that would have increased the price. There's also a ghost first position on this crown, but at least it does this cool twirly thing when you reset it. But the Swatch got the details right. This one has an attractive burgundy on cream look. The dial is stepped at the periphery like vintage Speedies, and the dots is placed over 90 on the tachymeter scale for you serious dorks out there. I love this thing. As a Speedmaster owner, this watch oozes Speedy vibes, but it's obviously just a playful homage and not a serious replacement for my Speedmaster. So maybe you don't have a Speedmaster, but you're thinking of getting one. Maybe it's too intimidating to jump into the world of Speedmaster references, or maybe you're just not at a point in your life where paying $6,000 for a watch makes financial sense. In that case, the MoonSwatch is a great entry point. And as cheap as the materials are that we just talked about, the dial is not lacking in details compared to the real thing. The printing is sharp and the edges on the case are crisp. Even if you just want to test drive a mock-up of a Speedmaster, the fit is just right. And if you're saving up for a Speedmaster, this will scratch that itch for the time being. You can even swap out the Velcro strap for something different because it uses normal 20mm spring bars. I think this is a big win for Omega. Some might say that it dilutes the brand, but this shows that Omega is so comfortable with the identity of the Speedmaster that they're not afraid that the internet might turn it into a meme. And this is in stark contrast with that other company that sues people for looking at them the wrong way. And what do you think is going to happen when all these kids who got MoonSwatches as gifts grow up? They're going to want the real thing. So say you're a collector and you just are not interested in Speedmasters. Maybe you didn't grow up a space nerd like us, peering up at the night sky thinking how amazing it was that with a rush of blood to the head, humanity decided to hurl itself 250,000 miles into space and somehow try and land on the lunar surface, all with like caveman technology. Or maybe you believe in conspiracy theories and the moon thing never happened. Even then, if you're into watches, this has got to be good for the industry as a whole. When you have Yahoo running articles about a watch release and that watch isn't made by a company named after a fruit, it's gonna get ordinary people interested, and some of them are gonna be brought into the fold. I think the MoonSwatch is perfect for these modern times. The designers obviously experimented with funky colors and over-the-top imagery and made watches fitting for the meme culture that we live in. I mean, come on. Some of these are like wearing macaroons on your wrists. It kind of reminds me of sneaker culture, and the MoonSwatch is like the wrist version of the Easy or the Jordan. And for an industry that from the outside can seem snobbery and old-fashioned, this collab proves that the Swiss still know how to have fun. And it's not just hype. People love saying that, but what is hype? Hype is when a lot of people want a few things and they can't get them and it gets out of control. Well, that's also called supply and demand. But that brings us to maybe the dark side of the MoonSwatch. This release was botched in many ways. Watch lovers were made to queue up like cattle and trampled over each other for a plastic watch, and it really left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I honestly don't think Omega and Swatch anticipated the level of demand, and they were woefully unprepared for the consequences. I mean, you can imagine at the board meeting they probably said, what's the big deal? So we just ship 100 watches to a store and they might sell out. It'll be great publicity. But if you were one of the thousands of watch enthusiasts that drove for hours and waited hours more in line only to be told that you were going home empty-handed, you probably thought it was a big deal. And you know who else was in line? The flippers. And now they're all over eBay trying to make a quick buck. Now, Swatch immediately went into damage control, saying that they'll eventually release the watch online, but it was too little too late. So guys, now that the dust has settled, let's get some perspective. This watch is fun, really fun, but it's plastic. And after spending a few days with this watch, as a Speedmaster nerd, it's not worth paying multiples for, trust me. So have some patience. In the meantime, you can come commiserate with us on watchcrunch.com. Even if you didn't get a MoonSwatch, you can feel better reading all the stories of people who camped out overnight for one. Oh, and also, Linus shipped me this watch from New York overnight so we can get this video out. He has an IG account where he pairs watches with cocktails that he makes. It's very creative, so go give him some love at Shake and Sip First. And try making that purple galaxy drink that he just posted dedicated to the Pluto. So until next time, take care.